7 racks to 3. It's been a real proper roller coaster for Thorpe through the tournament so far, and it might take him all the way through to the single elimination stage tomorrow. John Morra is 4-1 up on Petri Mäkinen. Omar Al-Shaheen is leading Christian Serdaya 6-1. And Ko Ping Chung, that's worth keeping an eye on. He's 2-1 down in the early stages against Georgi Georgiev. So I think that brings us pretty much up to date as we turn our attentions to this clash of the generations, Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. Just recently inducted, and the official induction to the Hall of Fame will be later in November in the United States. But Niels Feijen, now a Hall of Famer, against Anthony Raga of the Philippines. Almost a golden break to start. What's the 8-ball going to say about getting at that blue 2? And I think maybe there's a gap. Pretty sure he can get at this blue 2.
Niels Feijen, now 46 years of age, world rank number 15.
Pretty nice positional shot, getting on the red 3, but an angle going away from the pink 4. Not really sure if he can get back to some kind of short side position on the pink. Now he could play kind of a cross corner bank on the 3 drawn back with a big protection with the 8 and 9. Playing the 3 just underneath the 9 cross corner on a bank shot and hold position on the pink 4. He's coming some 3 rails around the table, so watch out for the brown 7 as he comes around. Going to spread the cue ball nicely. Really a nice shot there. A lot of good speed control and a great line on the cue ball. Still a lot of work though. He's got to get from the purple up table back to the green 6 after he knocks his pink in. He can't get too much closer to the purple either.
Most of the losers matches are of course race to 8, but now that we're at the losers qualification stage, it's back up to 9.
Okay, decent position on the brown 7. It's going to be an 8-9 combo to try and finish this first rack for Niels in a break and run. Exactly how you want to start the match.
So, almost started the rack with a golden break. And attempted to finish it with a combination to complete the break and run, but still life in this opener.
Yeah, and that's a combo he's a big favorite to make, but I really thought he was going to shoot to 7 with a little inside spin so he could get a little closer to this combination. Elected to play the 7 a little more simply and therefore getting a little further away, and we'll see how Raga wants to attack here. Trying to play a bit of a two-way shot, attacking on the bank, but holding the cue ball. Making Niels come with one heck of a shot if he's going to get out. Probably a safety coming. Does have the bottom half of the cue ball, though, so he could elevate and dig on the cue ball, trying to bring it back with some low left English. Kind of figure he's going to double bank this 8 to the top rail and run the cue ball 1 rail back down on the bottom of the table. And the way he's cueing, he's attacking. No safety here. He may fluke it. May fluke it.
Oh, not only has he fluked it, look how he's finished on the 9. Tough one for Anthony Raga to take. Niels Feijen didn't quite complete the run out, but got there in the end. He leads Anthony Raga by 1 rack to 0. Now another 40-something, Shane Van Boning, because he does fall into that category now since last month. Came through after a bit of a scare against James Aranis a short time ago. Let's hear from him.
Well, Shane, you made light work of it to start off with. Were you ever worried with James's comeback that it might not meant to be in that match?
Yeah, actually he got dry in the last game, so I had a feeling that he was going to come back. You know, if he did make the one inside, he's going to run out. So it was supposed to be should have been a tough match.
We saw you make a good run here last year. How much do you enjoy your time playing pool in Germany?
Last year was good, and this year, you know, coming back to Germany, you know, I like the country. You know, I like the food here, and you know, people are nice here, so I'm actually enjoying myself.
It must feel good knowing as well that your compatriot Skylar Woodward is also remaining on the winning side, so you won't have to face him in the last 64 either.
Hopefully we don't have to face each other. Hopefully it'll be separate, you know. I think that would be better.
It's turning into a good tournament for the Americans overall, isn't it, JJ?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Skylar and Shane kind of leading that way, but I don't know what to score at the moment with Billy Thorpe, but he's fighting hard. Tyler Steyer had a lead. Hunter Lombardo, I think, just exited the event, but played really well overall, it seemed. Don't know what the final score between him and Alvin was earlier, but 9-6 maybe. It's just a tough racket out here. A lot of great players, so.
Yeah, it was 9-6. Yeah, I think he was only one behind at 7-6. There were certainly a lot of stages of that match where it was pretty close. You mentioned Tyler Steyer there. He's 6-2 up against Sanyan Pelovanovic. That's in winners qualification. Also in that round, only one other match going on. Michael Schneider on the hill now at 8-7 against Victor Zielinski.
Yeah, and he trailed quite heavily in that match as well. Michael did by some 3 games or so.
And the update on Billy Thorpe, he's leading 7-5 over Moritz Neuhausen in losers qualification. That would be a fine win to claim, given how Neuhausen has been playing.
Yeah, for sure. At the moment, you'd put Neuhausen the favorite in that match, but Billy has shown a lot of form at times this year, and he's had an up and down tournament here in Fulda so far, but he's a fighter.
Anthony Raga from the Philippines, 25 years of age. He's been competing on a reasonably high-level stage for as part of a decade now. done well in a couple of events in Asia.
Yeah, he's a fun player to watch. Gets after it. And what he really does, if you don't pay attention, is when he gets down on the ball, he pulls the trigger quickly. Should be a safety coming of some sort, maybe shooting lefty or with the rest. Really nice hit and speed control, considering using the rest. A little awkward cueing with the rest, too, kind of half over the 8.
Niels Feijen played in winners' qualification earlier, but was beaten 9-6 by Dimitris Loukatos, Greek player who got within a couple of racks of a place in the semi-finals at the UK Open earlier in the summer.
Trying to subtly soar between the 7-8 from some distance. That's a tall task. Trying to get to the backside of that 3 and kick it back down table, hold the cue ball up table.
Still puts every last drop into every match he plays, every shot. Weighs up all the options. A study and intense concentration. Still so ambitious after all these years and all the success he's had.
Yeah, I thought that was a lot to ask, trying to swerve the ball from so far away when you're going between a couple balls and they're a foot or 2 away. The control where the bend starts to happen is very predictable, but down the table it doesn't take much to be off, and got the best of Niels there, and now ball in hand for Raga.
Raga started off with a 9-7 win over Ivan Coelho and was only just beaten by the excellent Polish player Konrad Jusashin in his second match, going down in a hill finish. Then 8-0 against Ingo Lamberti on the loser's side, and followed that with an 8-4 win over Bezar Spahiu of Albania this morning to get to this stage.
Yeah, got pretty thin for the side. It is playable. The cross side bank goes as well. Could play a safety just kind of using the 8, but got to believe he wants to keep attacking, whether it be the cut or the bank.
I promise you he really is 25. He looks even so much younger than that, doesn't he?
Yeah. If you'd have told me 18, I would have believed it.
Well, a fluke was very significant for him in the first rack. For a moment there, it looked like Feijen might get another one here. Instead, it's a chance for Raga to draw level. So Anthony Raga, one of 3 Philippines players in the field, levels with Niels Feijen, one apiece in the early stages of this match to decide a place in single elimination. Still 2 places up for grabs from the winner's side, but perhaps not for much longer, because Tyler Starr has moved to the hill 8-2 against Sanjin Pelovanovic, and Michael Schneider leading Victor Zielinski 8-7. So pretty soon, it seems, all focus will turn to the loser's side. Billy Thorpe is 7-6 up against Moritz Neuhausen. Radoslav Babika going well at 6-2 against Si Cha Chen. Nick Malloy is a 5-2 lead over Francesco Candela. John Mora, very capable Canadian player, 6-2 ahead of Petri Mäkinen. And Gary Wilson is leading 2-0 against Yuri Pisklov. Stuart Bingham, another snooker star, also in action at the moment, but just in the opening rack against Mats Sjetna of Norway. 1-1 here. First look in this match at the break of Raga. JJ, what did you make of it?
Oh, pretty good one. I mean, I like to see it when players can put some speed into that cut break. You could see how quickly the one vanished into the side. It's going to have to come with a nice one here. It does go in the corner or the side. Could play it off the 9 and the side as well. The 3 being pretty handy. Taking a lot of time here and now sizing up the corner, I believe. Looks like he's overcut it by some piece.
He's had a bit of fortune there. I don't think this 2 goes.
Well, it did kind of bump the 5 a little bit. I don't know if it doesn't take much, it looks like, to get some gap. A little gap to get a shot at that pocket. Just by Niels' demeanor. I think you're right, Michael. The 2 is locked up and does not play.
Tyler Starr, currently at number 6 in the US Mosconi Cup points table, is through. And that's a very impressive margin of victory against a player like Sanjin Pelovanovic to beat him by 9 racks to 2.
not a lot of options here. And kind of felt like he may be able to play a kiss shot on the 5. Some right English, just clipping the 2 and trying to spin the 5 in. Don't know, though. That's a stretch, I think. But and not a bad effort, just trying to create some distance, some separation between the blue 2 and the cue ball. That's why he put a heavy draw stroke on that, nearly missing his left side pocket. I think this bank does play a bit of a safety behind it as well.
So many standout moments in his career. Winner of the World Championship. It'll be 10 years ago next year. Beat Alban Ocean in the final all the way back in 2014.
Looks like he's going to maybe play a jump shot here to the top rail, trying to kick at the blue 2.
Only rack 3 of a possible 17, but it's been very hard fought. Anton Raga has been to the final of the China Open, high-quality event back in 2019. Was beaten by Wu Chia-Ching for the title in Shanghai. Later that same year, got to the semi-finals of the All Japan Championship. Again, strong lineup. As I'm sure you know by now, we're going to be in Vietnam in October for the Asian Open. That title was contested in a different form, but still with world ranking points on offer and a lot of good players involved last year, and Raga got to the quarterfinals there. So plenty of good showings in decent events behind him. How much potential do you see in him, Jeremy, in terms of trying to become some sort of top player?
Oh, I think he's just a step or so away from that. And, you know, just one of those players that really wants his name and started to play the events. You just could kind of see he's going to be a champion and already in that status. It's just a matter of getting those feet wet out here and a few more of these bigger events, and certainly just experience a few more wins, a few more different situations to get comfortable with. And you can't fluke those results you were just talking about a moment ago. So
the signs are good in that regard, aren't they? Because I know he played on one of the main tables yesterday and looked very at home, and seems to be taking everything in his stride here against a proper legend of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, like any great players, especially the ones that do it at an early age, they just kind of get really involved in themselves, and not in a selfish manner. It's just how it is. And, you know, that's how they escalate through the ranks so quickly. And most of the Filipino players are pretty humble as a whole, which I think as well, you know, serves well to become a great player. I mean, there's a swagger, that's for sure, but humble overall.
Maybe a little more of a swagger now, because after losing the opening rack, Anthony Raga has taken 2 in a row and leads for the first time against Niels Feijen. The last place in the final 64 from the winner's side will come down to a single rack, because Victor Zielinski has drawn level with Michael Schneider at 8 apiece. On the loser's side, Daniel Guttenberger just a couple of racks away from victory, 7-4 against Thomas Kaplan. Moritz Neuhausen now on the hill against Billy Thorpe, it's 8-7. John Morrow on the hill as well, leading Petri Mäkinen by 8 racks to 2. Omar El Shaheen just edging ahead of Christian Serdea at the moment at 6-5. Ko Ping Chung is behind against Georgi Georgiev at 4-3. Pius Labutis, who we saw in the semi-finals of the Spanish, level at 1-1 with Duan Kwa Kwang. Emil Andre Gangflo is 2-0 up against So Soa. Gary Wilson cruising along 4-0 against Yuri Pisklov. Chang Yung Lin leading Babken Melkonyan 3-0. And Stuart Bingham level at 1-1 with Matt Shetna.
Looks like at least early it's going to be one of those matches, balls being made on the break, but really no opportunity to continue the run. I'll tell you, a player that, you know, I think many of us didn't know exactly what the ceiling was, but saw he had a lot of heart. Really saw all the improvements, and you still are seeing him, is Jani Uski. You got to be certainly impressed with that man from Finland, and just never gives up. Always fighting and starting to get some real results.
Should mention as well, James Oranis straight back into action so soon after the SVB match. 2-0 down though against Jani Sikkanen of Finland.
Yeah, interesting push out to a piece of the blue 2 here. You wonder, is there some kind of flyer on the 9? Trying to hit the right side, the only side that's available. Coming off the 2, trying to cut the 9 in the lower left. Maybe try to bank the 2 in that same lower left cross corner. I think he's going to threaten the 9 pretty well here, and maybe the bank is going to head in that direction also. Oh, super nice shot here. Wow, how good is that? Didn't know he could even avoid the 9. That soft speed, a little inside spin, narrowly missing the double kiss right there. Just about as good as you can hit it. Elevating the cue, massing. It'll start to arc right there before caught the rail. Cue ball spinning up behind the 9. And this is a difficult hit. May have to come 2 rails here from the bottom cushion, yeah, off that right side rail and get at this blue 2. Spin the kick shots. Niels taking a really long time on what looks like a pretty routine hit here. And maybe trying to do a bit much with it.
With ball in hand, really good chance for Raga to stretch his winning sequence to 3 racks.
Yeah, the 2, the 3 up table with the 5 up to come down. I think the 6 does play by the 9. That makes things a little easier.
Talked about the need for him to get his feet wet, as you put it, to make progress in the game. Aside from that, is there any aspect of the way he plays that you've noticed you feel he needs to improve on to make that step up?
No, I love his cueing. I watched the backhand. It's in a great position, and good flow to the swing. The timing's good. It looks like he generates easy power. Really looks like he has all the tools. And a little odd here, must be straight to where if he wants to draw the cue ball, he's kind of threatening maybe a scratch in that left middle. So now looking to go forward and maybe get short side on the 7, play it up all the way to the top right corner. Which I had heard about Anthony long before I got to see him, and so many players. Look at this stroke, wow. And that's usually a mistake. It's almost always ends up not working, to where you're looking at all these shots, you're making a decision, and then all of a sudden you decide to do something that you hadn't thought of yet. And you just kind of get down and shoot it. And not, maybe the reason is because you don't take as much time when you finally see it. You just kind of go ahead and play it, and maybe wouldn't hit his best, but it was a hard way to go with top English 3 rails around the 9. Now Niels in a good spot here. Maybe make a nice shot and steal game number 4.
Saw him playing for the Netherlands in the World Cup alongside Mark Bijsterbosch a few weeks ago. Beat Hong Kong in the first round and then went down to Chinese Taipei in the second. I spoke to him the day after. I know they had gone there with good expectations. They prepared well. Bijsterbosch, of course, had just been to the final of the Spanish Open the week before.
Okay. He has a shot. There's some distance here, but the angle is awful. Not a lot of it, and it's going away from the 8. So the young Filipino champion is going to have to show us all the skills on this one. Going to power up one way or another, drawing the ball or going forward. Looks like he's going to draw it, and he won't settle for the cross-side bank. I think he's trying to let the stroke out here. Wow, look at that.
Oh, no shortage of skill in that one. That is one of the best shots we've seen all day.
Yeah, like the 2-ball he shot in game number 2. Really just a lot of speed and center cut.
Shot like that is where the spots on the cue ball really come into their own, isn't it? Illustrating the spin.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And a little more unique style. You know, a lot of times with the Filipino players, you can see one of the younger players really kind of following another former champion in technique or style. Not so much here with Raga.
Well, passed up an earlier chance to lead 3-1, but got back in and did really well to close it out there. So he goes 2 clear for the first time in the match. Michael Schneider has claimed the last place in single elimination from the winner's side. He's won that deciding rack against Viktor Zielinski. So the Polish player will now have to go to loser's qualification, and it's going to be a hard task for him. He'll be up against Roman Hiebler. All eyes now then on loser's qualification. Moritz Neuhausen has just got through. Disappointment for Billy Thorpe, who's had such an eventful couple of days here. Neuhausen winning there 9-8 to go through. Daniel Guttenberger on the hill now at 8-4 against Thomas Kaplan. Radoslav Babika has a 7-3 lead over Zicha Chen. Nick Malai just needs a couple more, 7-2 up on Francesco Candela. John Mora needs one more, leading Petri Mäkinen 8-4. Omar Al-Shaheen, former World Championship runner-up, 7-6 ahead of Christian Serdea. Ko Ping Chung has just edged ahead at 5-4 against Georgi Georgiev. Gary Wilson now 5-1 up on Yuri Pisklov. Chang Yung Lin has a 5-0 lead over Babken Melkonyan. And Stuart Bingham is 2-1 down to Mats Shetner. James Aranis trailing 4-0 against Yanni Sikkonen. And we were talking earlier today about how we hadn't seen any golden breaks so far in the matches we'd watched. And now we've seen a couple today. And that one stretches out Raga's lead to a strong 4-1.
And again, Michael, it seems to me, if you have that firm break in your arsenal, you know, if it's a weapon and you can use it, sure seems to give you a few more bonuses in many different ways, whether it be a golden break or maybe where you make 2 or 3 balls versus just one, a little less work to do, a little more open layouts.
I think it had literally only been a couple of racks earlier that we'd been talking about how we hadn't seen one. And Johan Chua pulled out the golden break that stretched his lead over Jason Shaw to 6-1, which that he eventually went on to win after a bit of a resurgence from the Scot. But concerning times now for Niels Feijen. He's 4-1 down.
Yeah, he's 4-1 down.
Hang about. Oh, 2 in a row. Jonas Suto Camino apparently had 3 on the bounce earlier today. It looks like Raga is in the mood to try and match him.
Yeah, and a smile from the young Filipino, maybe not quite so much from the recently inducted Hall of Famer.
You know what these youngsters are like, Jeremy. You know the only thing he's thinking of now is, let's make it the hat trick. Let's go for it here.
Yeah, well, I liked not so much of an apologetic, you know, situation more than a player being a little happy about it, maybe a little giggly with 2 in a row.
I think Niels is trying to fight against having a smile there. He's looking on in a certain sort of admiration, but at the same time, he knows his situation in this match has been utterly transformed. It was about 5 minutes ago. He was only 2-1 down. Now it's 5-1.
Yeah, and he missed a pretty routine. Oh, here's the time to get started. A little thin hit on the 1, and again, Raga, for the most part, when he gets into position to shoot, he pulls the trigger quickly and maybe got the best of him there. That 1 ball was pretty thin. Okay, the 7-9's pretty ugly. Something he'll have to address. Should be able to draw this out off the bottom rail for a little cut on the 3. The 5's near, the 6 is near that 7-9, the 4 is there as well. So I don't think he has to really get too in depth with trying to take care of that 7-9 now. I think something will develop. When you make a plan, you know, to try and map out everything just so exact from the beginning of a rack with a ball in hand situation, what happens is when you start to get out of line with your plan, it starts to become a little stressful, a little frustrating. So me, myself, I wouldn't try to put it all together right now. Trying to eye to see if the 7 goes in that side, that right middle. I think it does. You have to get, I wouldn't say perfect position, but fairly precise.
Made a very good start to the year in the big Matchroom events, which could so easily have been even better. He was just edged out 11-9 by Mario He in the quarterfinals of the World Championship. I saw him after that match. He was almost inconsolable. And he was 6-0 up in the semi-final of the World Masters against Declan Catchy. Ended up losing 11-10. He also won a smaller ranking event in Bosnia and Herzegovina in March. Been a bit disappointing the last couple of Open events. Last 32 of the UK Open. Last 64 of the Spanish. So I'm looking to try and get things right back on track here. But a bit of a deficit to try and turn around already.
Nice shot there on the pink 4, opening up that 7-9 prior to knocking in that 5 ball there. And again, Niels is such an accomplished player. You can't do that without like a really good brain. So I like him not panicking early on that 7-9. There were opportunities to take care of it, and he certainly did so. Is he kind of awkwardly drawing up the table towards the 9 here? Doesn't seem too worried, so maybe he can come down the left side.
I've sat and commentated on many matches with Niels over the years. And I'm always fascinated by his ability to figure things out, even when he's not playing. He was at the table there and did have quite a bit of figuring out to do. And he's done it to snap Anthony Raga's run of 5 racks in a row. Feijen closes to 5-2. Could be a few more winners to report in the next few minutes. Number of players on the hill. Tim de Ruyter 8-2 against Karol Skaversky. Daniel Guttenberger at 8-5 over Thomas Kaplan. Radoslav Babika leading 8-3 against Si Cha Chen. Nick Malai 8-2 against Francesco Candela. And John Morra now 8-5 over Petri Makinen. Omar Al-Shaheen also looking for one more, 8-6 against Christian Surdea. Away from all that, James Aranis has at least got off the mark now, trailing Jani Sikkanen of Finland 4-1. Mats Shetner has stretched his lead to 3-1 over Stuart Bingham. Gary Wilson 6-1 up on Yuri Pisklov. Yuma Dormer of Germany has a 3-1 lead over Robbie Capito. Torsten Homan, after his defeat to Ralph Souquet, straight back into it and 2-1 up on Talal Ablushi. Feijen 5-2 down.
Yeah, definitely caught those thick, and you can see the difference. A lot less speed on the break than his opponent.
Been talking about single elimination, and it doesn't start until tomorrow, but effectively it's where we're at now, isn't it, from this point on, because no further safety nets from here.
Yeah, a few of these players may have been playing single elimination for a few days now, losing early and fighting their way back through. Terrible angle on this one to try and hold for the 2 with the cue ball near the rail. Doubt he takes it on in the corner. Probably just takes a real slow roll at this one on the side. Maybe getting a little thin on the 2 and a bit of a stretch for Raga, but most important, ice in this 1 ball.
Thomas Kaplan will play no further part in the tournament. The Polish player has gone down 9-5 to Daniel Guttenberger. So the Austrian advances to the draw later tonight. Look at some of the players who've gone through already. On the loser's side, Jeremy, where it's Neuhausen, Jason Shaw. John Morra has just beaten Petri Makinen 9-5. Fitim Haradinaj, who beat FSR earlier in the year at the UK Open. All means we're going to see some great matchups guaranteed in the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. Is Chang Jong Lin waiting to play still, I think?
Nah, he's 6-0 up.
Oh, he's playing. He's in action.
So there'll be plenty more names to add to that list of guys who are already through.
Behind a thin one in the low left corner, a little bit of a stretch as well. I think he can get to the bottom rail with the cue ball. He's got to watch for the speed. Maybe gets a little bump on the 6. If he does, watch out for the snooker behind the 8. And now, you know, not sure exactly what part of the Philippines Anthony is from, but for the most part, at some time or another, normally when they first start playing in the Philippines, they play on very difficult equipment. That doesn't necessarily mean, you know, the tightest pockets, even though that's usually the case, but very, you know, worn in felt and whatnot. And what happens there is makes you really learn the game, because it's hard to draw the cue ball. It's harder to move the cue ball. So you have to learn natural routes. And that's one thing the Filipino players kind of lean on. Now, this day and age, they've come so far with their pool rooms. All the equipment and everything has gotten so much better.
Flick on the 6 was friendly. Raga just a few balls away now from getting to 6. It says on the back of his shirt there, Anthony the Dragon Raga. I love the confidence of that when you're not used to playing in these tournaments and you turn up and you're quite happy to give yourself a dramatic nickname like that. That suggests confidence and self-belief.
Yeah, little 8 ball he's got to pay attention to. Looks pretty comfortable out there, Michael, and you just got to believe he's just going to get more comfortable the more he plays in these Matchroom and World 9-Ball Tour events.
Queuing is a touch uncomfortable on this 9. Still should get it. And 4 clear again. That's 6-2. So Johan Chua already through. Anthony Raga, and every chance of joining him. But James Aranis, the other Philippines player here, 4-1 down at the moment against Yanni Sikkonen. Stuart Bingham has pulled it back to 3-2 against Mats Shetna. Kostas Kukiadakis has taken the first against Long Tien. Chang Jong Lin has stretched his lead now 7-0 against Babken Melkonyan, part of that sizable Romanian contingent. Gary Wilson 6-2 up on Yuri Pisklov. 3-all now between Yuma Dormer and Robbie Capito. Emil-Andre Gangflo cruising along 5-0 against So Soa, who ended Tony Drago's campaign yesterday. Ko Ping Chung in a real battle with Georgi Georgiev. 5-all there. Still so many players on 8 at the moment, so should be some more winners to report in the next few minutes. Indeed, I have one for you now. Tim de Ruyter of the Netherlands, one of 19 Dutch players in the field, has beaten Karel Skaversky, the former World Masters winner, 9-2.
Yeah, and it looks like the green 6 is going to help Niels here early in this rack, and a push out coming. Maybe push out near the 7 for the kick to the backside of the 2, maybe. Okay. Let him see quite a bit of this 2 ball, looks like. Don't think going behind the 8, rolling the ball is very easy, but you can shave the 2, cut it into the purple, and run the cue ball a couple rails behind the 9. That looks doable. Going to be a little upset there. I think he may have gotten the snooker, but kind of feel like he's left a little edge. And if he hasn't, the kick's not difficult, but I think Niels was supposed to take that on. Trying to get maybe 2 to 3 more inches out of the cue ball. Great speed there, controlling the cue ball and the blue 2. Did give up a look, but not much to look at, that's for sure.
The world of pool is so vast and sprawling, it's hard to point to anyone and say they've done everything in the game, but Feijen's done most of it. World champion, as I said, 2014. Been World Masters winner on 2 occasions. MVP 4 times in the Mosconi Cup. Nobody else has ever done that. He's made the winning point on 2 occasions.
Yeah, he's going to have another crack here in about 6 weeks at the one event that has eluded him, and that's the U.S. Open. Can't really recall his highest finish in the U.S. Open. Oh, really nice hit here, whether he makes it or not. He's trying to play some type of safety with the big ball in the middle of the table, the green 6. But just the cueing off the end rail there was so impressive.
I do know he had a very good US Open all the way back in 1997 when he would just have been coming out of his teens. Had a 9th place finish.
Yeah, 97. Let's see, Buddy Hall won in 98, I believe. So 97 would have been... Earl?
Yeah,
Earl,
Strickland.
he beat Okamura?
No, it wasn't much of a lineup in the final. It was Earl Strickland against Efren Reyes.
It was
yeah,
against
a couple of
Efren.
no-hopers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it was, well, when did he beat Okamura then? Beat him in the final of the U.S. Open as well.
Yeah, that was the last time he won it, in 2000.
Okay, 2000, yeah. Yeah, Johnny beat me in the final in 99. And then Corey Deuel beat Mika 11-0 in the final in 2001.
Well, this is impressive stuff.
Yeah, and Mika came back to win it in 2002, I believe. And then I got lucky that year, and Gabe Owen I think that Thorsten Holman, his highest finish ever was second to Gabe Owen in 2004.
Yeah, this is nearly all right.
Yeah.
With Immonen now, it was a bit later. It was 08 and 09.
Yeah.
Yeah.
01 was Corey for sure.
Yeah.
And then 02, give me a second. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night, so. But that's when I usually have most of my wheels turning for the U.S. Open. Great shot there from Niels and a good decision.
You did so well with those quizzes I set for you at the World Cup. You're coming here now and setting your own quizzes.
Yeah. Yours are too difficult, Michael.
Only because I know you're up to it.
Yeah. Well, we have the combination of the adult and junior trivia at home, and I try to stick to the junior stuff, even though the current events I'm not very good at. All right, difficult hit. The 9's kind of cutting off a little bit, going one rail. May have to only have a little bit of the 3 ball to kick at. Tell you what, a hit would go a long ways here, most likely anyways. Just because the 5's a little funny with the 8 there, and so I wouldn't kick hard at this though. I'd love to make. That's another reason why I wouldn't want to tear the 8 away. But you know, you serve up ball in hand to Niels Feijen, it probably doesn't matter how they lays. Most likely going to get out.
Nick Malai is the latest winner to report, 9-3 against Francesco Candela of Italy.
Is that it? Raul Souquet in 2002 over Alex Pagulayan?
Yeah, very
That's
good.
right.
Very good.
Yeah, you mentioned that name and it just kind of rung a bell there. Of course, Alex went on to get that title a few years later.
Yeah, 05 was his year.
That's right. All right, Niels. Not too much of an assumption getting out here, but he's got to get the break going. It's not been bad, but gonna figure, you know, hard to make these comebacks without sitting your opponent down at least for a rack or two.
Here's Feijen. He sat down for a couple of racks in the most emphatic manner possible with those back-to-back golden breaks from Anthony Raga, which took him into a 5-1 lead. Feijen, though, has won 2 out of 3 since then. He's back to 6-3. James Aranis is really battling back well. Was 4-0 down against Jani Siikkanen. It's now 4-3. Jonas Kornmesser has moved to the hill at 8-4 against Estonia's Karl Naderberg. Stuart Bingham 1 behind at 3-2 now against Mats Shetner. Simon Kural leading the all-Polish clash with Bartosz Rozwadowski, 7-2.
Yeah, I stood up to watch a little bit of Siikkanen just because I hadn't seen him play in a long time, and I always liked his game. And he was up 4-0 with the 7-8-9, just kind of not hanging, but evidently he did not get out, and maybe has turned that match around a little bit.
Babken Melkonyan's got a lot of work to do to turn around his match against Chang Yung-Lin. He lost all of the first 7 racks, but he has just won the 8th. Gary Wilson 6-3 against Yuri Pisklov. Torsten Homan 5-2 ahead of Talal Al-Blushi. Emil-Andre Gangflo now 6-0 up against So Soa. And Ko Ping Chung is 6-5 down to Georgi Georgiev.
Yeah, again, hitting him too thick. And I still think that, you know, I said it earlier, and now's not the time, but you got to work on developing that harder cut break. I just think it's going to give you more options. When you don't hit them exactly how you want, trying to play the one on the side, I think you have a chance to make more balls. Maybe the one cross corner, we see that go up in the upper corner when they miss the side at times. So
2 dry in a row from the Dutchman.
yeah, and the best things in pools to see the great players make the tough shots. And this one ball, even though open, a little off angle and not easy. Cue ball up the table. You can tell Raga's kind of an edgy player, right? A lot of fidgety movements and kind of settling himself, but then not afraid to pull the trigger. He's going to get a big roll here. But Niels Feijen, even though snookered, he's happy to be at the table, I'll tell you.
He's there without a cue at the moment, coming around to assess whether a jump cue needs to be brought out.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this particular jump for the right-hander with that little bit of a lean over the table. You know, if you just move it like an inch to the right, I think he becomes a big favorite to make it. A lot of times the right-hander wants to hit this a little thick into the side rail. Oh, he overcut it. Quite the opposite, and really a very much an unforced error there.
I saw one player in another match earlier on today, I can't remember who it was, making a jump shot into the side. Cue ball went up on the rail, danced around a little bit, fell back down on the table.
Yeah, I've had a few of my worst rolls ever with that type of situation. I was playing SVB one time in the finals of an event in Vegas and had him dead to rights, 4-1, racing to 7, and snookered. He jumped the ball. He ran the cue ball about 3 diamonds down the side rail on top of the table. Hit the cushion, went a couple another cushions, ended up right behind another ball. And I never shot again.
He could have really wound you up by keeping a straight face and letting on that was his intention.
Yeah.
That's really harsh.
No, Shane will give you that goofy smile sometimes, especially if he knows you, when he gets a little fortunate.
Okay, so this ball in hand presents a moment of real opportunity for Raga. It's going to be a big result for him if he could beat Niels Feijen. It's almost a decade since Feijen won the World Championship, as we said, but he remains a strong force in the game. He's ranked in the world's top 20. He's had some very good showings in big events this year. Raga has done well in events elsewhere in the world, but he's here trying to make a name for himself in the ever-burgeoning Matchroom scene. This would be a statement win, and he can get quite close to it here.
I'll tell you, he's a little light here, and for absolutely no reason, he's made this pink 4 a little awkward. A little too thinned, I think, to hold on the right side of the table, and a little awkwardly thick enough to where it's not easy to go back and forth. So we'll see. The shorter bridge tells us probably just rolling the ball. Now he's going back and forth. Yeah, he catches the 9. Should be okay for the right-hander. And Niels, you know, his entire career, of course, one of the most consistent players, and he's still showing that, even though he hasn't gotten some of those big wins like he did in the past. But you know, I think he's trying to get another one of those big wins, and what he's doing, he's just keeps trying to put himself in that position to where when everything clicks and a few things go his way, he can still win a big tournament. Which, by the way, even for the top guys in the game today, that's a little bit of, you know, the recipe to win a big title anyways. You get your game going and then just have a little bit of the right roll at the right time.
Concerning moments for Niels Feijen, sitting in his chair. For the 3rd time in this match, he's going to be 4 racks behind. And he's running out of time to turn it round. That's now 7-3. Raga only needs 2 more to go through to tomorrow's play. Radoslav Babika will be there. He's finished the job at 9-3 against Si Cha Chen, who was a US Open quarter-finalist last year. Nguyen Kong Tan of Vietnam on the hill at 8-6 against Antonius Kakaris. Dennis Graba 4-3 up on former World Cup winner Christoph Reunches. Omar Al-Shaheen has just won 9-7 against Christian Serdea. Georgi Georgiev, a couple of racks away from a very significant win against Ko Ping Chung. That one is 7-5. Gary Wilson closing in on victory at 7-3 against Yuri Pisklov. Victor Zielinski's taken the first rack against Roman Hiebler. Matt Shetner has won the 6th rack to go 4-2 up on Stuart Bingham. Sanyan Pelovanovic has taken the first rack and the second against Ramazan Akdag. And James Aranis, from 4-0 down, is now 5-4 in front against Yanni Sikkanen. So we may well still end up with 3 Philippines players here tomorrow.
And you can see the players taking their time out. And, you know, James was making a little bit of a comeback against Shane and didn't make a ton of mistakes to fall behind, and just kind of figure that Sikkanen has played a good match so far to get that lead, and now James has returned the favor.
P.S. Labutus was a semi-finalist in the Spanish Open. He's got a battle on his hands here to stay in this tournament, 5-2 down against Wong Kwok Wang. That, though, should get him back to 5-3.
And he just can look at it like there's been a few mistakes by Labutus, and hasn't just been Wong playing just perfect from all situations. So that's a positive note back on the board.
Draw will be made later today. Each of the 32 players coming through from the winner's side will be paired with one of the guys who's come through from the loser's side of the draw. So much coming up in the next few months. We've got the US Open, as you were talking about, Jeremy, then the Asian Open soon after that. And of course, in December, the Mosconi Cup. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, already confirmed as the first automatic qualifier for Europe. We'll know the first automatic US qualifier by the end of this week. Skylar Woodward out in front. Shane Van Bonen can overtake him. The only way he can guarantee that, of course, is to win the tournament. Pretty sure they'll both be on the team anyway. But then both of these teams will confirm their second player after the US Open, their third after the Asian Open, and then the captains will have 2 picks each. And we will have announcements about the captains later this week. You see Billy Thorpe there, just outside the automatic spots on the US team. Got a few wins under his belt here. Might have been fancying his chances of making some real progress in that regard. But he has gone out of the tournament today in a hill-hill finish against Moritz Neuhausen.
I think maybe our first dry break here from Raga.
Yeah, he did scratch one of his breaks, but yeah, he's made something off all the others until now.
Yeah, nothing easy for Niels. He does have a shot to play. How's he feeling? Is he going to attack? Certainly can't fault the decision. 99% of the field would shoot from there, and just missed it, overcut it just a touch. Very good placement of the cue ball and the one.
Talked earlier about Feijen being the only 4-time winner of MVP in the Mosconi Cup. 2 other past winners of that accolade, Mika Immonen and Chris Melling, will be up against each other next on table 1. Feijen hoping that won't be for a while yet.
A really nice effort there from Niels. Got a little separation, but just so happened that perfect alley up and down the table is open for Raga to attack on this cut shot and run the cue ball some 18 feet up and down. You can see right between the 6-9, then all the way back down. He's going to catch a piece of the 6. It's not going to hurt. It doesn't look like it anyways. Those young eyes, Michael. Seeing the edge of that ball from so far away.
We had those once upon a time, Jeremy.
Yes, sir. It was sweet, wasn't it?
I think you used yours to better effect in the pool world.
Yeah. I've got many pair of glasses now. At least it's just for the small stuff. And Raga now, not a whole lot of trouble. There's a little work to be thought about, and then some execution to follow with the 7, 8, 9 kind of grouped together over on the left side of the table. But should be pretty routine going forward here, maybe a foot or so to gain a nice little natural angle to come back off the 5 for the 6. Could have used a little more angle there. Shouldn't be a, yeah, you see him pointing right there, and he just let up a little bit. So now he's got to show us that power.
You know, talking about youth and age and all the rest of it, we were mentioning earlier about Feijen having his first really good showing at the US Open all the way back in 1997. That was the year Raga was born.
Wow. I think that was the first year that I saw Mika Immonen, actually. May have been just before that. 96, maybe. He also had a deep run in 98, I believe it was. And 3rd or 4th when Buddy Hall beat Tang Ho in the finals. Another great player from the LA area.
People have tuned in to watch the match and they're being treated to the history of the US Open from
right.
you as a real bonus. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, well, I've missed a few of them, but not many since I started playing them.
Well, this should be straightforward from here.
Yeah, real nice shot he made right there too. Not, you know, easy to overhit, easy to underhit, and be on top of the 8 with no shot. And now routine 9 to get onto the heel.
A huge ask now for Niels Feijen. He's going to have to win 6 racks in a row because it's 8-3. Matt Shetner is pulling away against Stuart Bingham. It's 5-2 now. Is it going to be the end of the road for the 2015 World Snooker Champion? Sanyan Pelovanovic now leads 3-0 against Ramazan Akdag. Simon Kural on the hill, 8-3 against Bartosz Rozwadowski. Gary Wilson looking for one more rack to get through to the single elimination stage of another big open event. 8-3 against Yuri Pisklov. Benji Buckley is 5-3 up on Jan van Lierop. Torsten Homan closing in on a place in the final 64. 7-2 he leads against Talal Al-Blushi. So is making a fight of it. She's 6-3 behind now against Emil Andre Gangflo. And Georgie Georgiev has beaten Ko Ping Chung by 9 racks to 5. Ko coming in on such a high after his big win recently. But Georgie Georgiev has seen him off.
Yeah, well, talked about it in the Spanish Open with some players and, of course, some semifinalists that, you know, are making their own stories, and that's what's happening. These players are evolving, more tournaments to play in, getting to play with the best a little more often in the big moments, and just going to see more and more of it. And I'll tell you, he's got one shot, it looks like, on this 2-ball. He can use the 7 to hold the cue ball. Other than getting straight in on the 3 or missing the 2, he should end this match.
Well, he's looked so comfortable, hasn't he? Doesn't seem to have been fazed by anything at all. No signs that he's gone out there with anything other than the belief that he could beat Niels Feijen. As we've said, has played some very good stuff in the earlier part of this year. He's certainly not yesterday's man.
Yeah, well, when you're younger like this, you know, you just don't worry about missing too much, right? So you don't get too technical in your mind and just kind of freely swing the cue a little bit more. Of course, this is a serious, and this is his career and his business, Raga, but you can tell he's enjoying it.
Gary Wilson made it to the final 16 of the UK Open. He's a couple of wins away from getting there again, because it's all over now against Yuri Pisklov. Wilson has won 9-3. This would be a stylish way to finish. A lot happened in the first few racks of the match. Niels Feijen took the opener. Raga then won 3 in a row. And followed that with back-to-back golden breaks. He's been in command ever since. Niels Feijen, bit of a brief revival, but it looks as though his campaign ends here.
Yeah, a couple golden breaks, a few breaking runs thrown in it, and really a struggling break for Niels Feijen. That combination, those 3 right there, was going to make it hard for Niels to overcome Raga.
Been a great summer for Philippines pool. And Anthony Raga has just added to it by claiming a place in the single elimination stage of the European Open. He's beaten the former world champion Niels Feijen by 9 racks to 3. Mika Immonen and Chris Melling will be up next.